All right, so we are going to create a bivariate graph, putting two categorical variables together so that we can see if there's some association between them. And so the two variables that I'm using are my eyewear variable, and that's going to be my explanatory or X variable, and asthma diagnosis, whether they've been diagnosed with asthma or not, is my response variable on the y-axis. And the way this works out is for each of these eyewear categories, it's calculating what percentage of the data set is yes. And so, about 14 point something percent, 15 is right in the middle. It's just somewhere between 14 and 15% of the neither category has been diagnosed with asthma, and up over 16% for both of these two categories diagnosed with asthma. So there's a little bit of a difference. So I don't know if it's a statistically significant difference, but it seems like people who wear eyeglasses or both eyeglasses or contacts more likely do have an asthma diagnosis. So, in a sense, yeah, maybe. At least in this data set, there's a difference. But in order to do this, Python wants to take numbers and average them to get this proportion. It wants to see, how many neithers are there altogether? How many of them are yes? Let me take the number yes over the total, and that gets this percentage, right? Well, the way that Python needs to be able to do that is to have those values be ones and zeros. One stands for they've had an asthma diagnosis, and zero stands for no. Whenever you're doing this kind of a graph, you need your response variable to be just ones and zeros so that Python can do this number crunching. So if I go to my slides and I just run it with my formatted variables, oh, and I've deleted it off, sorry. Here. Just run it the way it is. If I run this with my formatted variables, it gets really confused. It says, hey, I'm looking for, it requires numeric, and your response variable is not numeric. Okay, so how we're going to do this is we're going to create this new variable pretty simply called asthma underscore code. And all that's going to be is kind of back to where it was before, where it was ones and zeros before we formatted it. So when I go up here, I have to be super, super careful. So I'll do this kind of slowly. I have to think back to the logic of what I did before. I created asthma out of, and of course, what did I just do? I somehow put in an extra bracket. Oh, I stole it from this one. Yeah, sorry about that. There we go. So I created asthma out of this variable coming from the data set originally in the CSV. After I did that, I data managed out the sixes, turned them into not a number, got this nice table, and then I went through and formatted it, and so now asthma is formatted. So under the hood, asthma has no's and yeses. That's why it threw that error. What I want to do now is kind of go back and say, all right, let me get back to the original. So I had to run that code again so that for the moment, asthma is unformatted and undata managed. Do the data management. So I ran this line. If I run this table, it's back to original. It doesn't say yes and no anymore. So right after this, I'm going to make this new variable asthma underscore code. Maybe I should do it after this, so I'm going to put it down below. After you checked out that asthma is working out, I'm going to go asthma underscore code equals just the asthma variable. Okay, so I'm going to run that. Now, asthma code is what we want. The problem is asthma is unformatted again. So I'm going to go back down here and run my formatting again. So that asthma is formatted. Asthma underscore code, if I were to run a table for asthma underscore code, it's unformatted. It's the ones and zeros. So asthma is formatted. Asthma underscore code is not. And so now when I jump back down here, Python's got it the way it needs to be, so that when I run this with asthma code, it produces the proper table. All right, sorry that was so long. We will take whatever time we need. We're spreading this out to a couple of weeks so that everybody can get this figured out. I'm going to do another video as well that's even longer for those of you that want to do it the other order, with asthma as the explanatory, eyewear as the response. And for those of you that have more than one category in your response variable, we'll need to do some extra work. All right, take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.